People are waiting because there's not enough social housing out there to be provided by Housing New Zealand, and we try and support families to move from living in crises on a day-to-day basis to actually having their own dreams and aspirations. So the difficulty with our Pasifika families is that under the quota system they can come to New Zealand, they're entitled to all WINS payments, but they're not allowed social housing for 2 years. Yeah, so that's a real political issue where immigration is saying, yep, we'll bring Pasifika families to New Zealand to do jobs that New Zealanders won't do, but you're not allowed to go on the social housing register. You can only rent privately, and you can imagine in Auckland, they can't afford private rentals. So they have to wait 2 years, and that's why in 2013 the census identified 100,000 people living in overcrowded substandard housing in counties Manukau. And there's only 500,000 in total population in counties Manukau. And it's a disconnect, I believe, between government departments. Immigration is saying, yes, let's bring Pasifika families here to work, and no way do I want to suggest that we stop that. What I'm suggesting is we need to provide housing as well. We need to look at it from a holistic perspective. And if we're talking about 1,500 people who have a job, they bring their families. And if they don't have a home, then they're forced to live with other family members. And often there can be 10, 20, 30 people living in one house, or in lang-tus or cars on the same property. And a high percentage of our Pasifika families are, in the first few years of entitlement, are in Housing New Zealand properties. So it creates a real dilemma for overcrowding, and the difficulty that they have is they don't want to get their family members into trouble, but they need a house, so it's a real dilemma.
Because if as you said that, Tanya, if they know that you have more people than you should have, then the relative will be kicked out. So it all has to be in very secret. Like Materia Ture said, you have to break the rules to survive, but you don't want to break the rules. And that's a stress, isn't it?
You think we've got 4 ladies sitting here representing 4 families, but there's thousands. In Auckland and across New Zealand in exactly the same circumstances. People are not asking for luxury, they're just looking for affordability.
Let's look at that issue. Is the benefit not something most people can live on, in your view? Well, Tanya, what do you think? The benefit, is it enough to live on, or is it?
No.
Okay, let's talk about that. What was your experience, Tanya?
Benefit money doesn't really last. It's just to put food on the table, get kids food. You know, it'll only last for like 4 or 5 days.
And then what would you do if you're 3 days short each week?
All the time I would ask my parents for a loan, if I could just borrow some money until the next week. And I'll just keep doing that until I pay off whatever I owe him. I don't feel good borrowing money off my parents. It's supposed to be the other way around, but you know, struggle's real.
And were your kids still hungry with what you bought?
Yeah.
And were you finding that with the benefit, or was short?
Yeah, because it's like she said, it's not last about 3-4 days. We use my husband's wages to pay our rent, our power, and everything, like paying our bills. But I have 3 kids, and their benefit it's not enough. Like,
what about power bills?
Yeah, I go on Global. I pay $40. $40 will last us for 1 week until the next week. Pay another $40.
Can you have heaters for that? Can you put heaters on?
Heaters and washing machines will take up most of the power.
and the fridge.
And the fridge.
Especially when the fridge is being on for the whole week. Yeah, that's why we try to put more power in before for the next benefit, so that we can keep money to
So some people will turn their fridge off between payments.
Sometimes, probably like at night time, turn it off. Then wake up, turn it back on.
But mine is at, especially on the weekends, because I know that the weekends we're going short, and then I turn it off our fridge. So I turn it on Monday when we get our benefit again.
So if you were to put $20 onto Glowbug, that's how much you got to use on your power. So when that $20 is gone, the power will be cut until you put in another
So you have
$20.
to buy $20
So it's like a top
to
up.
top up the power.
But once you don't have the power,
It will shut down. It will go off.
Yeah.
so people are sitting, what are they doing when it's a cold, cold night? What are you doing?
You just gotta find your own spot
gotta
where you
find
could be
some-
warm.
What do
Find
you
some
do?
money to top up again.
Yeah.
Do you wrap up in blankets
In the dark, though.
with candles?
No,
We have candles.
we had candles, which is
So you'll often be in these cold houses in the dark.
makes it even worse because our phones has to be charged as well. We got nothing, or just go battery low.
That's why we short sometime, because we saved our money to top up the power. Because I don't want my kids to be in the dark at night time and get cold.
And this is happening to many families.
Yes,
A lot of families you talk to.
yes.
And once the power's off, we can't cook anything and we have to eat bread because that's the only thing that's there for us to eat. And my benefit, the most of it goes to the rent, and I only get not that much, but at least my little girl eats, then that'll be fine with me. I don't care if I don't eat. As long as my little girl eats, then I'm fine.